Chosen one, pause for a moment before you scroll, before you sleep, before the noise of this world pulls you back in. There is a sacred window every single night, a moment so powerful that if you knew its true value, you would never close your eyes without using it. While others fall asleep carrying their fears, their regrets, and their unanswered questions, Allah is waiting for you to ask. Not with perfect words, not with long speeches, but with a sincere heart. Tonight's message is not ordinary, and it is not random. If you are still awake listening to this, it is because Allah wants to remind you of a dua so simple, yet so powerful, that it can shift your destiny while you sleep. Stay with me, chosen one, because what you ask Allah before sleep may be the very thing that changes everything. The night is not just the absence of daylight, chosen one. It is the unveiling of truth, the hour when masks fall, distractions fade, and the soul finally speaks without fear. All day long you are strong for others, patient in silence, carrying burdens no one sees, answering questions you never asked for, surviving pressures that would crush many, but when night arrives, Allah gently removes the noise so you can hear your own heart again. This is why the night feels heavier for you than for most people, not because you are weak, but because Allah is calling the broken parts of you forward, inviting you to lay them down before Him without shame. In the quiet hours, when your eyes are tired and your defenses are gone, Allah draws closest to the servant who has been holding on all day, waiting for the moment they finally stop pretending they are okay. This is when your tears mean more than your words, when a whisper carries more weight than a speech, when even a silent sigh is understood by the one who created your pain and your patience. Allah invites the broken at night because broken hearts are honest hearts, and honesty is beloved to Him. You don't need to explain your exhaustion, justify your sadness, or organize your thoughts. Allah already knows what you lost, what you endured, what you prayed for that hasn't happened yet, and what you're too tired to ask for again. When you turn to Allah before sleep, you are not interrupting His attention, you are responding to His invitation. He waits for you to stop leaning on your own strength and finally lean fully on Him, to admit what the day forced you to hide, to release what you've been gripping out of survival. The night is when Allah reassures the chosen one that their pain was seen, their patience was recorded, and their struggle was never wasted. Even when no miracle happens immediately, something still shifts, your heart softens, your chest loosens, your soul exhales, because Allah met you where you were most real. This is why the night heals you in ways the day never could, and why you must never rush to sleep without speaking to Allah first, because it is in the darkness that Allah reminds the broken that they were never abandoned, only being prepared, protected, and gently carried toward a destiny shaped by mercy rather than despair. The chosen one learns through exhaustion that there are limits to human strength, boundaries beyond which planning, patience, and persistence can no longer push reality forward. And it is precisely at that edge, when effort runs out, that dua begins to work in its purest form. All day you try to hold things together, to fix what is broken, to control outcomes, to stay composed while carrying weight that was never meant to rest entirely on your shoulders. Yet still some doors refuse to move, some hearts refuse to soften, some answers refuse to arrive. This is not failure, it is an invitation. A dua before sleep reaches places your effort never could, because it travels beyond strategy and into the unseen, beyond logic and into divine authority. When you lie down and raise your hands with tired sincerity, you are admitting what Allah already knows, that you have reached the end of yourself and now need Him to begin. This moment is powerful because there is no performance left in you, no pride, no illusion of control, only trust shaped by fatigue and hope shaped by faith. Allah responds differently to a heart that has stopped forcing and started surrendering, because surrender is the language of tawakkul. While you sleep, Allah continues working, softening what you couldn't change, protecting what you couldn't foresee, rearranging what you didn't even know was misaligned. Many breakthroughs are born in the hours you are unconscious, because Allah loves to show the chosen one that outcomes are not produced by strain alone, but by reliance. The dua you make before sleep is not weak. It is strategic in the most divine way, because it places your concern directly into the hands of the one who controls timing, hearts, and consequences. You may wake up to the same situation, but with a different strength, or to a shift you never expected, or to a calm that confirms Allah has taken over. This is why effort without dua leads to burnout, but effort sealed with night supplication leads to alignment, because when you finally rest after asking Allah, you declare that you trust Him to finish what you could not, and Allah never disappoints a servant who hands Him their limits with sincerity. The chosen one may walk through the day surrounded by noise, pressure, misunderstandings, and responsibilities, but what truly defines your faith is not how loudly you speak about Allah in public. It is who you turn to when the day is finally over and no one else is watching. Ending the day with Allah is an act of loyalty, a quiet declaration that no matter how heavy the hours were, no matter how many times you felt stretched beyond your limits, Allah remains your final refuge and your last conversation. When you sit or lie down before sleep and speak to Allah, seeking forgiveness for what you fell short in, gratitude for what you survived, and guidance for what lies ahead, you are aligning your heart with humility, and humility is deeply beloved to Allah. You are not pretending the day was perfect, nor are you drowning in guilt. You are simply returning to the one who carried you through it. Allah loves when a servant ends the day with Him, because it shows awareness that you recognize every breath, every delay, every test, and every small protection as coming from Him, even if you didn't understand it at the time. This habit softens the heart over time, cleanses resentment before it hardens, and prevents despair from taking root overnight. Many people go to sleep replaying conversations, regrets, and fears, but the chosen one hands those thoughts to Allah instead, trusting that the one who sustained them all day can also protect them through the night. When you end your day with Allah, you are not just making dua, you are closing the chapter with faith, ensuring that whatever you wake up to tomorrow begins under His mercy, because Allah never ignores the servant who chooses Him as the final destination of their thoughts, their worries, and their hope. There is a sacred transformation that happens to the chosen one in the quiet hours of the night, a rewriting that does not announce itself loudly, but reshapes the entire inner world slowly, gently, and with divine precision. During the day, your heart is constantly reacting, absorbing words, enduring misunderstandings, suppressing emotions, making decisions, showing strength even when you feel fragile. But when the night arrives and the noise fades, Allah begins working directly on your heart in ways no human effort could ever achieve. This is why you sometimes wake up feeling different without knowing exactly why certain pains don't sting the same anymore, why anger dissolves into understanding, why attachments loosen, and why clarity replaces confusion without any visible change in circumstances. In the quiet hours, when you turn to Allah before sleep, you are giving Him permission to enter the deepest chambers of your heart, the places you don't even let yourself visit during the day. Allah removes what would have destroyed you if it stayed, resentment that would have hardened you, grief that would have poisoned your hope, pride that would have blocked your elevation, and fear that would have paralyzed your faith. He replaces it with patience that doesn't feel forced, strength that doesn't feel heavy, and certainty that doesn't need proof. This rewriting is subtle because Allah is merciful. He does not rip the heart apart to rebuild it. He heals it layer by layer, night after night, dua after dua, until one day you realize you are no longer reacting the same way, no longer triggered by the same things, no longer desperate for validation, no longer shaken by delays. What once felt unbearable becomes manageable. What once consumed your thoughts becomes background noise, and what once broke you becomes wisdom stored quietly in your soul. The chosen one often thinks change must be loud and dramatic, but Allah prefers transformation that protects you from arrogance and despair, growth that happens while you are resting, healing that unfolds while you are unaware. This is why the quiet hours are so powerful, because your heart is most receptive when it is not defending itself, when it is softened by exhaustion and sincerity. When you ask Allah before sleep to purify your heart, guide your emotions, and align your intentions, you are not making a small request. You are asking Allah to prepare you for the weight of what is coming next. Allah knows that the future He is leading you toward requires a heart that is steady, humble, and anchored in trust, not bitterness or haste. So He rewrites you at night, away from the eyes of people, away from the pressure to explain yourself, away from the urge to prove anything. And when you wake up, even if your situation looks the same, you are not the same person who went to sleep. Your heart has been adjusted, fortified, softened, and realigned by the one who knows exactly what it needs. This is why you must never underestimate the power of the quiet hours, and never rush to sleep without placing your heart in Allah's hands, because while you rest, Allah is actively shaping you into someone capable of carrying the blessings, responsibilities, and purpose that are already written for you. The chosen one eventually realizes that the greatest protection is not constant vigilance, overthinking, or trying to foresee every possible outcome, but the quiet surrender that happens when you place yourself fully in Allah's care before sleep. All day long you navigate visible challenges and invisible tensions, envy that isn't spoken, intentions you cannot read, dangers you cannot predict, and outcomes you cannot control yet when night falls. Allah offers you a different kind of security, one that does not depend on your awareness, but on His mercy. When you turn to Allah before sleep and ask for protection with sincerity, you are acknowledging a profound truth, that your safety has never truly been in your own hands. This act of entrusting yourself to Allah transforms sleep into an act of faith, because you are closing your eyes without fear, knowing that the one who never sleeps is watching over every detail of your existence. Allah protects the one who sleeps in His care not only from physical harm, but from spiritual erosion, from thoughts that would disturb your peace, from whispers that would weaken your resolve, from plans made against you in silence, and from emotional burdens that would crush your heart if carried alone. While you rest, angels guard what you cannot see. Outcomes are redirected away from harm, and paths are quietly cleared without you lifting a finger. This is why some people try to undermine you and fail, why certain dangers never reach you, why situations that could have destroyed others pass over you lightly, because Allah intervened while you were unaware. Sleeping under Allah's protection teaches the chosen one a deep lesson in trust, that rest is not negligence, but reliance, that peace is not denial, but certainty, and that safety is not earned by control, but granted through surrender. Over time, this nightly act reshapes your nervous system and your soul. You become calmer, less reactive, less anxious about what tomorrow holds, because you know that the same Allah who protected you through the night will guide you through the day. Even when you wake up to challenges, you face them with a steadiness that cannot be explained by circumstance alone, because your heart remembers that it rested under divine care. This is the quiet strength of the chosen one, the ability to sleep without fear, not because life is predictable, but because Allah is faithful, and whoever entrusts themselves to Him before sleep is never left unguarded, unseen, or unprotected. For the chosen one, the dua made before sleep is not just a habit or a comforting ritual. It is a deliberate act of depositing trust into the unseen, a quiet transfer of ownership from your limited hands to Allah's infinite control. All day long you carry responsibilities, expectations, unanswered questions, and pressures that slowly drain your spirit. And even when you appear calm on the surface, your heart is constantly negotiating fear, hope, patience, and endurance beneath it all. When you finally sit or lie down at night and raise your hands to Allah, you are doing something profound. You are saying, without needing perfect words, "Ya Allah, I have done what I can, and now I return everything to you." This is a trust deposit because you are not asking Allah while still clinging to control. You are releasing outcomes, timelines, and explanations you may never receive. You are depositing your worries about the future, your confusion about the present, and your regrets about the past into the care of the one who sees all three at once. Allah responds to this kind of dua not only by arranging events, but by strengthening your inner certainty, because trust is not built overnight. It is accumulated through repeated surrender. Each night you place your concerns with Allah. Something inside you loosens its grip, anxiety softens, urgency fades, and patience becomes less forced and more natural. Over time, you begin to realize that you are no longer panicking the way you used to, no longer obsessing over what hasn't happened yet, no longer measuring your worth by immediate results. This is because Allah is teaching you, gently and consistently, that what is meant for you cannot miss you, and what is not meant for you cannot be forced. The trust deposit you make before sleep also protects you from spiritual exhaustion, because it prevents your heart from carrying weight it was never designed to hold alone. Allah does not want the chosen one to burn out from constant striving. He wants you to learn the balance between effort and reliance, between action and surrender. When you sleep after making dua, you are not being passive, you are actively trusting, and that trust allows Allah to work in ways you cannot see, touching hearts, shifting circumstances, delaying things for reasons rooted in mercy, and accelerating others at precisely the right moment. Sometimes the response to your dua comes as a visible change, sometimes as a delayed answer that saves you from harm, and sometimes as a calm acceptance that replaces desperation, but every time, Allah honors the trust you placed in Him. This is why repeated night du'as slowly transform the chosen one into someone steady, grounded, and unshakable, because you stop living as though everything depends on you. You begin to move through life with a quiet confidence, not arrogance, but certainty that Allah is managing what you handed Him. Even when challenges return, they feel different, because your heart remembers where it deposited its trust. This nightly exchange builds a deep relationship with Allah, one rooted not in fear of loss, but in confidence in divine wisdom. And eventually, you realize that the greatest gift of this dua was not the outcome itself, but the freedom that came from no longer carrying tomorrow's weight alone. Because when a chosen one consistently deposits trust with Allah before sleep, Allah ensures that what they wake up to is always aligned with what their soul can handle, what their faith can grow through, and what their destiny requires. The chosen one soon realizes that there is a unique power in exhaustion, a sacred advantage in being emotionally, physically, and spiritually spent, because Allah responds differently to a heart that has nothing left to give but sincerity, a heart that no longer pretends, performs, or postures, a heart that is simply raw, real, and open. During the day, you carry burdens in silence, navigate challenges others cannot see, suppress frustrations, swallow disappointments, and yet keep moving forward. But it is precisely when your energy has drained, when your soul has admitted its limits, that Allah listens most attentively. The tired heart does not ask out of arrogance, does not demand out of pride, does not negotiate out of calculation. It asks only because it knows that without divine intervention, nothing will change, and that in total reliance there is complete freedom. This is why some of the most profound du'as are whispered when eyelids are heavy, when the body is weary, and when the mind is too tired to articulate every word perfectly. Because Allah is not moved by eloquence but by authenticity, not by length but by honesty, and not by confidence in human strength, but by submission to His power. When the chosen one pours their soul before Allah at night, expressing fears, hopes, regrets, and aspirations in their simplest form, it is as if the universe itself pauses to witness the exchange, and the angels gather around to carry the request directly to the one who holds all matters in His hands. The heart that has been stretched to its limits no longer clings to timelines or methods, no longer demands explanations or immediate responses, and no longer doubts whether Allah will hear, because the tired heart has discovered what the chosen one knows deep within. The one who created it is fully aware of its state, fully capable of resolving its needs, and fully merciful to act in ways beyond comprehension. Allah responds to the tired heart faster because the tired heart has already surrendered its illusions of control. It has already admitted that without Him, nothing can be sustained, nothing can be fixed, and nothing can be guided toward true success. This is the secret advantage of exhaustion for the chosen one. While others wait impatiently for their plans to unfold, while others cling to their own strength, the tired heart moves into divine timing, aligning itself with mercy, wisdom, and outcomes that were never possible through effort alone. When you awaken after placing your trust in Allah from a position of fatigue, you often discover that solutions appear in ways you could not have engineered, obstacles dissolve quietly, clarity replaces confusion, and inner peace arrives before visible change, because the heart that has been emptied of self-reliance has been filled with reliance on the one who never tires, never sleeps, and never delays without reason. This is why the chosen one is repeatedly instructed to turn to Allah before sleep, particularly when the day has drained them completely, because exhaustion is not a weakness, but a doorway, a sacred threshold through which divine response flows more swiftly, more surely, and more powerfully than at any other time. The tired heart no longer negotiates or hesitates. It no longer calculates or strategizes. It simply lifts what it can no longer carry and entrusts it fully to Allah. And in that very act, the unseen shifts, the barriers rearrange, and the blessings that were held back out of mercy or preparation begin to descend. Over time, this practice transforms the chosen one into someone who understands that fatigue is not a curse but a gift, that surrender is not defeat but victory, and that the moments when nothing else works are the very moments when Allah's intervention is most effective. The heart that cries, that whispers, that humbly folds in prayer at night, exhausted and spent, is the heart that moves mountains, the heart whose trust becomes the vessel of mercy, the heart that discovers that divine timing always surpasses human effort, and the heart that finally realizes that being tired in the service of sincerity is the fastest path to divine response, because Allah responds first to those who have no one else left to turn to those who have nothing left but Him, and to the chosen one who has surrendered completely. The chosen one must understand that every night holds a quiet, unseen preparation for the days and events that lie ahead, moments and challenges you cannot yet perceive, situations that the human mind cannot predict, and outcomes that the eye has never seen. Yet Allah, in His infinite wisdom and mercy, uses the night and the dua offered before sleep to arrange, protect, and fortify you for what is coming in ways that surpass both imagination and calculation. While the world around you rests, while distractions fade, and while human attention drifts away, the chosen one lifts their hands, speaks from a heart raw with honesty, and entrusts every detail of their life, seen and unseen, to Allah, not fully knowing how, when, or why the response will manifest, but trusting with every fiber of their being that Allah, who created them and knows every beat of their heart, is already shaping the path ahead. The night dua is a sacred tool, a key that opens doors before you even realize they exist, a shield that protects from harm before danger even approaches, a light that illuminates choices you are not yet aware you must make. You may pray for guidance, for relief, for protection, for clarity, or for strength, and each of these supplications, uttered with sincerity and humility, reaches beyond the visible realm to influence circumstances, align people, and soften hearts in ways that human effort alone could never achieve. Often, the chosen one will wake to situations that seem ordinary or even delayed, not recognizing immediately that Allah's response has already begun to shape events during the night, that obstacles were removed in silence, that allies were prepared in secrecy, and that subtle shifts in hearts, intentions, and decisions were already set in motion to ensure outcomes align with what is best for their faith, purpose, and destiny. The night is a laboratory of divine orchestration, where every dua, whispered with trust and conviction, plants seeds of future ease, guidance, and clarity. And the chosen one is instructed to approach it not with impatience, not with expectation of immediate results, but with the awareness that Allah's timing is perfect, His knowledge complete, and His preparation flawless. Through this practice, the chosen one learns patience, humility, and unwavering reliance on Allah, because each night becomes an opportunity to surrender not only current worries, but future unknowns as well, entrusting outcomes, people, and situations entirely to his wisdom. The unseen works silently to remove what could harm, to amplify what could benefit, and to gently adjust circumstances so that when the chosen one steps into tomorrow, they are met not with chaos, but with readiness, not with confusion, but with clarity, not with weakness, but with strength infused directly from divine support. Even what appears as delay, setback, or unanswered prayer may be part of this divine preparation. For Allah knows what the heart cannot yet perceive, and His orchestration often requires what seems like waiting before revealing its blessings. The night dua is therefore more than a request, it is a covenant, a submission, and a trust deposit, because in those quiet hours, the chosen one is not only asking for what they understand and desire, but is opening themselves to Allah's guidance for what they do not yet know, for challenges they cannot foresee, and for the destiny He is shaping on their behalf. This is why repetition and consistency matter. Every night's dua compounds the protection, wisdom, and preparation that Allah bestows, slowly molding the chosen one's resilience, insight, and readiness to meet life's trials with grace and certainty. The heart that consistently turns to Allah before sleep becomes attuned to His unseen movements, develops a sensitivity to guidance, and grows in trust that every twist, delay, or sudden shift is orchestrated by Him for the ultimate benefit of their faith, character, and purpose. Night after night, this practice transforms the chosen one, rewiring their perception, aligning their intentions, and equipping them for events, responsibilities, and blessings that their conscious mind could never have prepared for alone. The dua before sleep prepares you spiritually, mentally, and emotionally for the unseen. It sharpens your discernment, strengthens your resolve, and softens your heart so that when trials appear or opportunities unfold, you respond with the confidence, patience, and wisdom that only Allah's preparation can produce. The chosen one may never know the full extent of how these nightly supplications influence the world around them, how they protect them from harm before they even sense it, or how they gently guide the decisions of others to create circumstances most favorable for them. But over time, the results become evident in the steady unfolding of their life. Challenges that once would have overwhelmed now serve as growth. Delays that once frustrated now reveal divine timing, and blessings that once were hidden now manifest with clarity and ease. This is why the night is sacred, why the last moments before sleep are invaluable, and why the chosen one is called to rise in their heart, even when their body is weary, to ask, to trust, and to surrender completely, because in these quiet, unseen hours, Allah is actively preparing them for what they cannot yet imagine, and no prayer whispered in sincerity is ever wasted. No moment of surrender is ever overlooked, and no heart that turns to Him in these hours is ever left unguarded, unaligned, or unprepared for the destiny that awaits. The power of the night dua lies in its ability to bridge the gap between human limitation and divine orchestration, to create readiness in a world of uncertainty, and to ensure that the chosen one, though unaware of the challenges and opportunities ahead, wakes equipped not just to endure, but to thrive, not just to survive, but to fulfill the purpose Allah has intricately prepared for them, all because they consistently took the time to speak, to surrender, and to trust during the hours when the world sleeps and the unseen realm works on their behalf. The chosen one must understand that making dua before sleep is not complete without the act of surrendering the outcome entirely to Allah, for the true power of night supplication is realized only when it is followed by trust. And sleeping after dua is the ultimate declaration of faith, a profound testament that you believe Allah has heard, that He is already arranging what is best, and that your role is to rely rather than to control. During the day, your mind may replay conversations, overanalyze decisions, and attempt to orchestrate results beyond your control. Yet when night falls, the chosen one is given the opportunity to release all of that labor, all of that worry, and all of that fear into Allah's hands, acknowledging that what you cannot see, what you cannot measure, and what you cannot fix is already within His knowledge and His perfect plan. To sleep after dua is to demonstrate a heart free from obsession, a soul liberated from the illusion that human effort alone governs destiny, and a mind that has accepted that divine timing surpasses personal timing, because Allah does not require your constant interference to perfect what He has decreed. This act of faith is not passive, it is dynamic trust, active surrender, and deliberate obedience rolled into one, and it carries a weight of blessing that transforms not only the outcome of your supplication, but the very state of your heart. The chosen one who sleeps after making dua experiences a subtle yet profound shift. Anxiety that once consumed hours of the night is replaced with calm certainty. The burden of outcomes that once felt heavy on the chest becomes lighter. Hope that once seemed fragile is strengthened, and the soul feels anchored in a reassurance that cannot be explained by circumstance alone. Allah responds differently to this form of submission because it is born from a heart that has nothing left to cling to but Him, a heart that no longer negotiates or hesitates, a heart that understands that what is decreed cannot be altered by panic, but can be facilitated by trust. While you sleep, unseen forces align, hearts are softened, obstacles are removed or redirected, and the universe begins to shift in accordance with divine wisdom, often in ways you cannot imagine or anticipate, because Allah's preparation operates beyond human sight and understanding. Sleeping after dua also teaches the chosen one patience and resilience, because repeated practice reinforces the awareness that some answers are not immediate, that some outcomes require divine timing, and that the unfolding of life is best left in the hands of the one who knows your heart, your struggles, and the weight of what you carry better than you do yourself. The act of sleeping in faith is a shield against worry, an armor against despair, and a declaration that reliance on Allah surpasses reliance on human effort, and it quietly transforms the chosen one into someone capable of facing the trials of the next day with composure, clarity, and courage. Over time, this nightly habit shapes perception. The chosen one begins to notice how doors open that should have remained closed, how relief comes when it seems impossible, how protection surrounds them in ways they cannot see, and how inner peace persists even when circumstances remain challenging. This is the essence of faith, knowing that your dua is heard, that your trust is valued, and that surrender is not weakness but strength, because Allah honors the servant who hands over their heart completely, sleeps without fear, and wakes with confidence that He has already acted on their behalf. The chosen one learns that the night is sacred, that the final moments before sleep are divinely orchestrated, and that every whisper, every tear, every plea raised in sincerity becomes a catalyst for unseen guidance, protection, and preparation, shaping a life aligned with purpose and fortified against adversity. To sleep after dua is to release control, to accept divine wisdom, and to declare unequivocally that your faith does not depend on immediate results, but on the certainty that Allah never fails, never neglects, and never forgets His servant. It is an intimate conversation completed with trust, an act of obedience paired with submission, and a practice that over time cultivates a heart that is resilient, patient, humble, and deeply aware of Allah's presence, mercy, and power. The chosen one who consistently sleeps after dua discovers a secret. While the world may continue in chaos, deception, or delay, their heart rests, their soul is protected, and their destiny continues to unfold under divine supervision. For Allah moves unseen in ways that honor sincerity, reward patience, and elevate faith. Sleeping after dua transforms the chosen one's relationship with life, with challenge, with expectation, and with trust itself, instilling a calm certainty that surpasses fear, a spiritual confidence that exceeds understanding, and a profound sense of security rooted not in circumstance, but in the unwavering reality that Allah's knowledge, timing, and wisdom are always perfect, and that the chosen one who surrenders, sleeps, and trusts will wake to a world subtly and beautifully arranged by the one who sees all, knows all, and decrees all with mercy and justice. And that is why sleeping after dua is not simply an act of rest. It is a declaration of faith so powerful that it reshapes the chosen one's soul, their perception, and the unseen flow of life around them, preparing them for blessings, trials, and opportunities that they may not yet comprehend, but will one day recognize as the direct result of their surrender and trust. The chosen one must realize that the true power of this dua is not in the words themselves, nor in the volume with which they are spoken, nor even in the precision of articulation, but in the profound shift it creates within your heart and soul, for it transforms the very foundation of reliance from human limitations, fleeting resources, and uncertain circumstances to Allah alone, the ever-living, the all-knowing, and the most merciful, who holds the universe, time, hearts, and destinies firmly in His hands. During the day, the chosen one may attempt to control outcomes, manage expectations, and rely on connections, strategies, and personal strength to navigate life. Yet no matter how diligent or capable, there comes a point when human effort alone falls short, when plans unravel despite your skill, and when unforeseen challenges appear, reminding you that all power, all knowledge, and all true security belongs solely to Allah. This dua, offered sincerely before sleep, acts as a transformative surrender, a deliberate redirection of trust from that which is fallible to the one who is flawless, a conscious admission that what you once relied on, your ability to manipulate events, your capacity to anticipate outcomes, or the people you thought would always protect you, is limited, temporary, and ultimately insufficient. The moment you place your heart fully in Allah's hands, you release anxiety, fear, and the illusion of control, and a profound calm settles into your spirit, because the chosen one begins to understand that when Allah carries a matter, there is no failure, no wasted effort, and no obstacle beyond His capacity to turn into ease. This dua changes everything, because it does not only petition Allah for specific outcomes, it reshapes the interior landscape of your faith, teaching the chosen one that reliance on anything other than Allah is a temporary crutch, and that true security, guidance, and success flow only from complete submission to Him. Over time, this nightly practice realigns priorities. Worldly anxieties shrink in significance, fears of what may go wrong diminish, and the chosen one begins to navigate life with an unshakable confidence rooted not in circumstance, but in the knowledge that Allah's wisdom and mercy surpass every human limitation. Even when delays, obstacles, or tests appear, the heart that relies on Allah alone remains anchored, steady, and patient, because the chosen one understands that what seems like waiting is actually preparation, what seems like hardship is actually protection, and what seems like absence is actually the unseen work of a divine plan beyond comprehension. This dua teaches humility because it reveals the fragility of self-reliance. It teaches trust because it demonstrates the certainty of divine oversight. And it teaches love because the heart that leans fully on Allah experiences a closeness, a comfort, and a peace that no worldly possession, relationship, or achievement can replicate. Sleeping after making this dua reinforces the lesson because it is an act of faith, a physical demonstration of surrender, and a tangible expression that the chosen one is not just speaking to Allah, but is fully entrusting every detail of life, past, present, and future, into His care, acknowledging that the one who hears, sees, and knows is always closer, always wiser, and always better than anything or anyone else. The transformative power of this dua lies not only in what it requests, but in what it does internally. It weakens reliance on uncertainty and strengthens reliance on certainty. It removes fear of loss and reinforces the comfort of divine oversight. It dissolves anxiety about tomorrow and cultivates peace today. The chosen one who practices this consistently finds that life itself begins to respond differently. Decisions become clearer, obstacles seem lighter, relationships flow with greater ease, and the heart becomes resilient to disappointment, because the foundation of life has shifted from fragile human hands to the eternal, unerring care of Allah. This dua is therefore not a temporary solution for immediate problems, but a lifelong practice that cultivates a soul capable of enduring trials, embracing blessings, and walking confidently on a path that is protected, guided, and ordained by divine wisdom. It changes the chosen one's perspective on hardship, because reliance on Allah transforms difficulties into lessons, delays into preparation, and setbacks into redirection toward what is truly best. It changes the chosen one's perception of blessings, because everything that arrives is seen as a gift, a mercy, and a result of divine orchestration rather than human effort alone. It changes the chosen one's interactions with others, because dependence on Allah softens the heart, increases patience, and instills humility, making the chosen one a source of light and guidance for those around them. This dua changes everything, because ultimately it changes who you rely on, and reliance on Allah transforms the soul, strengthens the spirit, and aligns destiny with mercy, purpose, and divine perfection, reminding the chosen one that no matter the night, the darkness, the unknown, or the unseen, they are never alone, never unprotected, and never without the guiding hand of the most merciful, the most wise, and the one who knows best what their heart, their life, and their purpose require at every moment. For those who truly surrender through this dua, awaken not just to another day, but to a life transformed by reliance, faith, and unwavering trust in Allah alone. Chosen one. Now you know why the last moments before sleep are more powerful than you ever imagined. Every dua you whisper, every tear you release, every word of surrender is not just a prayer, it is a seed planted in the unseen, a trust deposit in Allah's hands, and a preparation for blessings, protection, and guidance that your heart cannot yet fully comprehend. Remember, the night is your ally, not just a pause from the day. It is when Allah meets the broken, listens to the sincere, strengthens the tired, and rewrites what the soul cannot do alone. Do not rush into sleep without speaking to Him, because the dua you make tonight could change your tomorrow, your destiny, and the very way your heart relies on the one who never sleeps, never tires, and never fails. So raise your hands, speak from your soul, surrender fully, and rest knowing that the chosen one who turns to Allah before sleep is never left unguarded, never unheard, and never without divine mercy moving on their behalf. Your life is shifting while you rest, and your heart is being prepared for greatness beyond your imagination. Trust in Him, sleep with faith, and wake to the manifestation of Allah's plan for you.